La clase, uno. There are 8 verbs we're going to look at in this lesson. Each one of them has to do with the classroom, and they're important for us to learn so we can conduct a classroom en español. La clase, escuchar en leer, to listen and to read. Escribir, hablar, to write and to speak. Preguntar, contestar, to ask and to answer. Traducir, conjugar, to translate and to conjugate. Escuchar, to listen. Leer, to read. Escribir, to write. Hablar, to speak. Preguntar, to ask. Contestar, to answer. Traducir, to translate. Conjugar, to conjugate. To listen and to read are what they call destrezas receptivas, or receptive skills. These are things that you're receiving. You're receiving information through listening and through reading. You're not doing anything, you're receiving Spanish, both orally and visually. Then we have to write and to speak. These are what they call destrezas productivas. These are things that you are actively engaged in doing. You can then turn around and write and speak. When we're learning a language, the first 2 things that we do is listen and speak. Then we begin to read, and then we write. So it's in that order: to listen, to speak, to read, and to write. That's the order that we learn in. And throughout the course, we're going to learn how to do all 4. So we have 2 types of skills: destrezas receptivas and destrezas productivas. Notice also on the left-hand column, there are 3 ways that these verbs are going to end. Some are going to end in IR. Most will end in AR. And some end in ER. Those are AR, ER, and IR verbs, and we're going to look at those later on, but those are called first, second, and third conjugation verbs. So for right now, just kind of pay attention that some end in AR, some will end in ER, and some will end in IR. Those are the verbs for the lesson. All the verbs take place in a classroom, and by learning these, we're going to be able to conduct our course in Espanol, and it's just going to be a lot more interesting to use these words that we're going to be using directly in a classroom with one another. La clase 1.